Welcome to BFC Live, the daily video and podcast series of Business of Cannabis. BFC Live highlights the company's brands, people, and trends driving the global cannabis sector. Learn more at businessofcannabis.ca. On this BFC Live, we connect with Vanessa Bairos of the CannDelta team. She's going to walk us through the Farmgate regulations across Canada. Vanessa, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We like to start off weeks on Monday mornings with the team from CannDelta because you are the people most in the know, which is great. It's a good way to start the week. And we have gotten a lot of questions, both in the chat and our events, but also through social and our newsletter. Mm-hmm. What is the landscape of Farmgate cannabis retail sales in Canada? We want that. People are clamoring for it.
Yeah, for sure. Who doesn't want to just, it's similar to apple picking when you go and you go through the tours and then you just buy everything from the retail store there. It's an adventure. It's definitely an experience. So I guess
people want the Chudleys of cannabis.
Yes, exactly. It's a good way of putting it. So I guess we'll just begin with identifying what a Farmgate store is for those who don't know, just because it's not really mentioned in the Cannabis Act. So I guess by definition, I kind of just touched upon it. Farmgate describes the price of goods if they were purchased directly from the farm without a markup added by retailers. So, in definition or knowing the definition in relation to cannabis, the Farmgate store allows license holders of either a micro or standard cultivation processing license to sell their own brand in a retail atmosphere, whether that's on your own property or elsewhere. So license holders across the country have been lobbying for this since 2019 to sell cannabis straight from their production site, which would improve sales, increase freshness, quality, and aside from that, create jobs, add revenue, and increase the cannabis education of the product overall. So provincial regulators across Canada, they have a varying outlook on cannabis farm gates, and I'll outline some of them here in this infographic showing the differences. So we're kind of going to start from the West Coast and then navigate to the East Coast. So British Columbia, there are big talks in the news right now going on. British Columbia's governing body is the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch, which is also known as the LCRB. Now, they allow both government and private retail sector stores. Their wholesaler is the BC Liquor Distribution Branch. In terms of farm gates, though, the farm gate policy is still in the works. It's anticipated for next year, so 2022. Ultimately may roll out 2023 potentially. But a few details have been released. So as set out in the government's cannabis, retail store terms and conditions, LPs are prohibited from operating owned or affiliated stores. And in quotes, it says where there's an association, connection, or financial interest between the applicant and a federally licensed producer. So the concern is the risk that an LP owned or affiliated retailer would only sell its parent producer products. It's ultimately what a farm gate is, and that's why we want it to exist, right? So there is a little confusion there. Under federal framework, so in Health Canada's framework, only license holders holding standard or micros can potentially open a farm gate, depending on that municipality zoning requirement. However, in BC right now, all they're allowing is the traditional cannabis retail stores that are permitted to sell from the distribution branch. So there is talks, they've mentioned direct delivery program to roll out in 2022 for small scale producers, including those like nurseries, the ability to deliver that to the cannabis stores directly. But there's not really any mention regarding the large producers. So I think there's still quite a bit in the works with BC. They are launching the Indigenous Shelf Space program here in 2021. So I think there's progress. They're definitely in talks about it, but they're still quite a ways away, and they need to still flesh out some of the details. But that will definitely be coming soon.
They're never in a rush in BC.
Would you be in the West Coast? So
I
nice.
mean, I would be, because it's a big part of a lot of those, well, small towns, but also
Yeah.
it's the only way or the best way to continue to drive down the illicit legacy market. But
and I think
get it.
they're realizing that, and that's why the talks are underway. I think they're just trying to flesh out the best system process or possible. So shifting towards the east, we'll go to Alberta. Alberta's governing body is the AGLC, or Alberta Gaming, Liquor, and Cannabis. Now in Alberta, the AGLC is the provincial regulator and the wholesaler. So they'll allow cannabis retail stores to operate at licensed cannabis production facilities without any ownership restrictions, which is great. The store must be a separate entity altogether, though. And you can purchase cannabis products for the store, but it must be made through the AGLC. So the cannabis product must actually physically be shipped from the producer to the AGLC warehouse before being ordered, repurchased, and then taken back as inventory. So there is a lot of logistical hassle and transactions that are happening in that framework, which a lot raise a lot of concern for the LP, and a lot of just added work that may not be necessary.
Not to mention in Alberta, they had a problem with melting chocolate for a period of time because it has to transport, and it gets more, it melts the whole thing. But
yeah.
Okay, should we keep going east?
We'll keep going. We'll go to Saskatchewan. So their governing body is the SGLA, so Saskatchewan Gaming and Liquor Authority.
Can I just say that I like all those three things together? Maybe I'm not supposed to say that, but like gaming, liquor, and cannabis, that's like, it's an awesome combination. But let's just stop
not there. Together though, not together.
I like them together.
Okay. But yeah, in Saskatchewan, they have no public wholesaler. So that's kind of a positive on their front. There's no ownership restrictions, and license holders of all classes can actually operate as many stores as they please. License holders and authorized cannabis retailers actually have a great rapport and direct relationship. So there's no provincial product listing process. So that also means Farmgate operations are, also supplied directly by the producer owning the Farmgate store without the need to sell or repurchase. So products can be moved directly from the producer's federal inventory into their provincial with no third party involvement other than just reporting through both sides of that transaction to the SGLA. So, which is great. There's no hassle, no logistical worries. That inventory is essentially staying on that same premise. Over here in Ontario, so a lot of people might know, so our governing body is the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario. So also Jay's favorite, I guess. The wholesaler is the OCS, or also known as the Ontario Cannabis Store. So we've here in Ontario, there's been a lot of progress. According to recent reports, there's 15 ROL applications, 9 RSA applications.
For Farmgate specifically?
Coming from licensed producers to open the farm gates on their site. 7 of those ROLs have actually been approved. So some of the large LPs in the news are Thrive, Tweed, Level Up, Infusions, just to name a few. But we're seeing that shift more and more, and a lot more LPs want to get involved. So we currently haven't seen any open as of yet, but that's truly due to the 2-step application process here in Ontario with the ROL application, so the retail operator license, which is based on the corporation, and then the RSA application, which is based on more of the store location. So I think that's why we're not really seeing them open yet as of yet, but I think that's definitely coming shortly. So opening will depend on, once they've received or once they've applied for the RSA, and it's going to really depend on their ability to get their location ready to go. So personnel, construction, things like that, as well as having a supply agreement in place with the OCS. The Farmgate in Ontario must be located on the same civic address of the licensed producer, and must be appropriately zoned for retail. So I think we're also seeing a lot of LPs who originally got into the industry looking for a large warehouse, potentially in an industrial zoned area. Now, later down the road, want to open up a retail store, and their property's not appropriately zoned for that. A lot of industrial areas in the GTA don't allow for retail, and you either have to apply for a variance, or you're out of luck and have to look elsewhere. So I think that causes a lot of the issues as well. But a process has been developed by the OCS to allow LPs to sell directly to consumers through their on-site store by offering a workaround to the current shipping and ordering methods for the LPs and retail stores. So this is great. They allow the LPs with a Farmgate store to supply their store on site by designating just a portion. Yeah, huge success. Just by designating a portion of their secure storage as part of like the retail aspect, so the OCS portion. And then a paper transaction will confirm the store's order with the OCS, replacing the actual movement of cannabis between the site and the OCS. So no logistical transfer there. So that's the west coast to east, and then other provinces that we haven't mentioned, such as Quebec, Manitoba, Nova Scotia, have yet to really shed light on whether or not Farmgate's something they would entertain, or even if it's really permitted in their current policy framework. But ultimately, a benefit of having a Farmgate, as I mentioned earlier, will increase revenue, better quality, freshness, and increase the cannabis education by having direct interaction with the consumer, and explaining how certain cannabinoid profiles or aromatic molecules are going to shape their experience. Also, you want to know where it's coming from. So I think it creates a great rapport with the company and their consumer overall.
Yeah. We did an interview with a grower and a retail store in Santa Cruz, California. They have a much bigger footprint than the store itself. It's about a 12,000 square foot facility. 3,000 of it is retail, 9,000 of it is grow at their sort of flagship, and they have a grow room showroom. Oh. So like it's retail in the front, party in the back. No, it's retail in the front, but it's a huge glass wall, and you could see the growing facility behind it. Is there anything that would prohibit that, assuming all the other regulations are met? Is that something that someone could do in Ontario, period?
The thing is, yeah, it's just like a window.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a huge glass wall, but yes.
The thing is, you want to separate those operations really as much as possible. So I think there may be considerations for that.
I want that so bad.
I think it's a cool concept, but yeah, you definitely want to separate that component. There'd be a lot of planning regarding security aspects, and preventing any unauthorized, so your consumers, from gaining any access to the operational site perimeter, essentially.
Yeah, we did a whole perimeter conversation with Dennis. Yeah. It's like, okay, and he described the perimeter and then the inner thing, the inner. Yeah.
So he's your security guru, so he would definitely, I'm sure, take a look at that footprint, their floor plan, and just kind of see if it's whether or not it's possible. But
I just love it. I love the idea.
It is a great idea, but you'd have to obviously do it in a way to meet compliance here in Canada.
You could do it. I was thinking you could do it because everything's got all the cameras everywhere. Just do a live feed of that camera into the store, so you can actually see the actual growing floor.
Yeah. Or videos or something. Yeah, something to educate them. I think it's a neat way to educate the consumer about where they're purchasing from, and making sure that everyone is meeting those high standards. But yeah, I think there needs to be a consideration made for the compliance aspect of things. So I think we have a strict framework, and I've mentioned this before, but I think there's definitely room for it to grow since we're still in infancy. But yeah, I believe that the Farmgate operation will offer the customers that further transparency and confidence about those products. Yeah.
If there's one thing we need right now, it's an excuse to go look at anything that's a small drive away. We will go.
Yeah.
We will absolutely get in the car and go. So whichever ones that are about to open with the RSA and the ROL, we will be there. Just open up and we will show up.
It's like Chudley's, like you said, we need that in our life.
We do need a Chudley's for cannabis. Vanessa, I really appreciate you taking time, because it's a great look at the provinces we know about. And it sounds like soonish, I say soonish, it's a very cannabis word, soonish, we will see the first cannabis retail Farmgate store open, and we'll probably all be there together.
I hope so.
Great.
Hopefully. If viewers are interested in hearing more about Farmgate landscape, CannDelta is hosting a webinar. I think I didn't want to step on your toes, Jay, but it's coming up on May 4th. So for all you Star Wars fans, tune in. But if you navigate to our LinkedIn page, or contact us at info@CannDelta, we can give you the link to register.
Great. Thank you, Vanessa. Nice to see you.
You as well.
That was Vanessa Bairos of CannDelta. If you heard this via podcast, please rate us and review us wherever you heard us. Thank you for joining us on B of C Live today. We're able to do what we do thanks to our ongoing partners, including Cannabis at Work, Cannabis Benchmarks, CannDelta, Headset, Gallagher, and Torque & Mains.